The silver ships of the Galactic Trade Consortium moved slowly through space toward Earth. Admiral HFY of the Zen-3 people sat in his command chair, his large herbivorous eyes studying the blue planet ahead. Like all first contact missions, this one followed ancient protocols developed over thousands of years of peaceful galactic expansion. Prepare the cultural exchange gifts, HFY ordered his crew. The Zen-3 had brought traditional artwork, musical recordings, and samples of their finest agricultural products. These items had worked perfectly with the 4 to 7 other species they had welcomed into galactic commerce. Each new civilization followed the same pattern: cautious greetings, months of careful cultural study, gradual introduction to galactic trade networks, and finally peaceful integration. "Sir, we are receiving a transmission from the planet," reported Navigation Officer Velane, her ears twitching with curiosity. "The humans are requesting immediate docking permissions. They say they have prepared comprehensive trade proposals." HFY blinked his large eyes in confusion. Most new species took weeks just to understand basic communication protocols. Already? But we have not even begun cultural exchanges. They are sending detailed economic data now, sir. Market analyses, resource assessments, and something called competitive positioning strategies. The Admiral's herbivorous instincts made him uncomfortable, though he could not understand why. Perhaps it was simply the speed of human response. Most peaceful species required careful, slow approaches to new relationships. When the human delegation arrived aboard the Zen-3 flagship, HFY immediately noticed something different about these beings. They wore matching dark clothing that fit their bodies perfectly, and they moved with a strange fluid precision that reminded him of something he could not quite remember. The lead human was a female named Mina Park. She approached the Admiral with a wide smile that showed many white teeth. Her dark eyes seemed to track every movement in the room, noting each alien's position and reaction. Behind her walked Hyun Kim and Jun Lee, 2 males who carried themselves with similar confidence. "Admiral HFY," Mina said, extending her hand in what appeared to be a greeting gesture. "Welcome to Earth. We appreciate your visit and are excited to discuss mutual business opportunities." The Admiral accepted the gesture, noting how firm the human's grip was. Most herbivorous species had gentle, careful touches. This human held his hand like she was testing his strength. "We have prepared the traditional cultural exchange materials," HFY began, but Mina politely interrupted. "Of course, and we look forward to learning about your fascinating civilization. However, we believe time is valuable, so we have prepared some preliminary trade assessments." She gestured to Hyun Kim, who activated a holographic display system more advanced than anything the Admiral had seen from a newly contacted species. "Your people trade primarily in rare minerals from the Outer Rim sectors," Hyun observed, his voice calm and professional. "We have identified 17 significant inefficiencies in your current distribution networks that could be optimized for improved profit margins." The Admiral's translator device struggled with several human terms. Words like hostile acquisition, market penetration, and competitive advantage had no direct equivalents in Zen-3 language. These humans spoke of trade like it was some kind of warfare. Jun Lee stepped forward with more displays. "Terra Industries has prepared detailed proposals for joint ventures in mining operations, agricultural distribution, and what we call supply chain optimization." His smile was as wide as Mina's, showing the same white teeth. "Supply chain optimization." Velane whispered to the Admiral. "Sir, their language patterns are very unusual. They use terms that sound almost aggressive." The Admiral studied the human proposals on his data pad. The information was incredibly detailed and sophisticated. These beings had somehow analyzed Zen-3 trade routes, calculated profit margins, and identified market opportunities that had taken his own people decades to discover. How was this possible for a species making first contact? "Your economic analysis is quite impressive," HFY admitted. "How did you gather such detailed information about our trade networks?" Mina's smile never changed. "We believe in thorough preparation, Admiral. Knowledge is power in business relationships." The phrase made the Admiral's skin crawl, though he could not understand why. Something about the way these humans moved, spoke, and watched everything around them triggered ancient instincts he had never experienced. His ancestors had been peaceful plant eaters for millions of years, but some deep genetic memory was sending warning signals. "We have additional proposals for expanding into sectors currently dominated by the Corvani Corporation," Hyun added, displaying more charts. "With proper strategic planning, market share could be redistributed more efficiently." "Redistributed?" the Admiral asked. "You mean competing with the Corvani?" Competition drives innovation and efficiency, June explained patiently. It benefits everyone in the long term. As the meeting continued, the Admiral noticed how the humans worked together. They seemed to communicate with tiny glances and subtle gestures, coordinating their presentation like a well-practiced team. No, not a team, something else. Something that operated with perfect unity of purpose. When the session ended, each alien delegate received a small device embedded with quantum encryption. For future communications, Mina explained. We believe in maintaining secure business relationships. As the human delegation prepared to leave, the Admiral felt a chill that had nothing to do with the ship's temperature. These beings were not like any species the consortium had ever encountered. They were too prepared, too confident, too predatory. Admiral, Velinay whispered as the humans departed. Something feels wrong about this. They do not behave like other peaceful civilizations. HFY watched the human shuttle disappear into space, carrying its cargo of apex predators in business suits back to their blue world. No, he agreed quietly. They do not. 3 months had passed since the Zenthari first met the humans, and Trade Minister Veldar was beginning to understand that something was terribly wrong. He sat in his office aboard the great trading station that orbited the neutral world of Kepler Prime, staring at reports that made his herbivorous blood run cold. The humans had moved fast. Too fast. Show me the Meridian Corporation files again, Veldar told his assistant, a young Zenthari named Colven. The holographic displays filled the room with data streams, trade routes, and profit charts that painted a disturbing picture. Dana Choi from Apex Dynamics had established trading posts in 12-star systems within 2 months. Her methods were efficient beyond anything the galaxy had seen. Where other species spent years building relationships through cultural exchange and careful diplomacy, Dana simply arrived, analyzed market conditions, and began operations immediately. Look at these communication intercepts, Colven said nervously, highlighting sections of translated human conversations. Listen to how they talk about business. The recording played Dana's voice. The vegan collective controls 60% of the agricultural market in Sector 7. Their distribution network has 3 major weakness points. If we establish competing operations at these coordinates, we can capture 30% market share within 6 months. Veldar's ears twitched with unease. She speaks of markets like a hunter tracking prey migration routes. It gets worse, sir. Watch this recording from Supak at Meridian Corporation. The new recording showed Sue addressing her team of human executives. Remember, we are not just selling products. We are studying consumer behavior patterns. Which species buy what products, when they buy them, how they make purchasing decisions. This information is more valuable than the products themselves. Colven paused the recording. Sir, they are not just trading with other species. They are hunting them. The evidence continued to pile up. Jin Han from Terra Industries worked with Yu Li and Kyung Nam from other human corporations, sharing information and coordinating strategies with the precision of a pack hunting together. They called it competitive intelligence, but Veldar recognized it as something far more dangerous. Bring up the Corvani situation, Veldar ordered. The holographic display showed the Corvani Corporation's traditional mining operations in the Outer Rim. For 300 years, the Corvani had used careful, sustainable methods to extract rare minerals. They built relationships with local governments through patient diplomacy, always ensuring that their operations benefited everyone involved. Then Ryan Ko from Titan Industries had arrived. The human approached them with a partnership proposal, Colven explained, highlighting the timeline. While the Corvani followed their traditional 6-month consideration period, Ryan did something unprecedented. The display showed Ryan's activities during those 6 months. He had not waited for the Corvani decision. Instead, he had quietly negotiated exclusive contracts with 17 different mineral suppliers. He had established competing extraction operations on worlds the Corvani had never considered. He had flooded local markets with cheaper alternatives. By the time the Corvani finished their deliberations, their entire business model was obsolete, Veldar whispered in horror. And Ryan Ko claimed it was all perfectly legal according to galactic trade law, Colven added. He followed every regulation while completely destroying the Corvani operation. Veldar studied more reports. Hannah Minute from Stellar Enterprises had offered to streamline Zenthari agricultural distribution. The proposal looked helpful on the surface, but deeper analysis revealed something frightening. Hannah had identified every inefficiency in Zenthari food networks, every bottleneck, every weakness. Her improvements would give human corporations control over 40% of Zen-3 food supplies. They are not proposing partnerships, Veldar realized. They are positioning themselves as apex predators. The minister pulled up evolutionary data on human development. Unlike every other species in galactic civilization, humans had not evolved from herbivorous creatures. They were descendants of persistence hunters, predators who had spent millions of years developing strategies to track, corner, and capture their prey. Sir, look at this intercepted communication from a human executive training session, Colven said, his voice shaking. The recording showed a human named Sam Yoon addressing a room full of new employees. Remember the fundamentals. Patience is key. We study our target markets the same way our ancestors studied animal herds. We identify the weak members, the resources they need, the patterns they follow. Then we position ourselves to control those resources. Once we control what they need to survive, we control them. The room fell silent as the implications became clear. The peaceful species of the galaxy, creatures who had evolved as plant eaters and developed cooperation-based societies, had invited pack hunters into their economy. They have turned their hunting instincts into business strategies, Veldar said quietly. Every human corporation operates like a predator pack. They share information, coordinate attacks, and systematically eliminate competition. What do we do, sir? Veldar looked at the reports showing human expansion across 12 star systems. Companies led by executives like Kai Song, Joy Ryu, and Neo Park had established dominant positions in industries that had taken other species centuries to develop. They had accomplished in months what should have taken decades. We call an emergency session of the Galactic Trade Consortium, he decided. Every species needs to understand what we are dealing with. We have not just met new trading partners. We have encountered something that has spent millions of years learning how to hunt creatures exactly like us. The herbivorous civilizations of the galaxy were about to learn what it meant to be prey in an economy dominated by apex predators who wore business suits and smiled when they showed their teeth. The age of cooperative galactic trade was ending. The age of the hunt had begun. The Corvani Corporation had made the same mistake that prey animals had been making for millions of years. They had assumed that showing weakness would bring mercy. Elder Tomrek of the Corvani sat in his traditional meditation chamber aboard the great mining vessel that had been his family's home for 6 generations. The Corvani were a gentle species, evolved from creatures that had once grazed on the purple plains of their homeworld. Their approach to business reflected their nature, slow, careful, and always seeking harmony with other species. When the humans first approached them, Tomrek had been curious rather than concerned. The human representative, a female named Leah Jung from Predator Industries, had seemed reasonable and professional during their initial meetings. We are proposing a simple partnership, Leah had explained, her human smile wide and friendly. Her colleague Won Kim had displayed impressive charts showing resource allocation and profit projections. Joint extraction rights, shared distribution networks, mutual prosperity for both our species. The proposal had seemed too good to refuse. Human technology was clearly superior to anything the Corvani possessed. Their extraction methods could increase mineral yields by 40% while reducing environmental damage. It appeared to be exactly the kind of mutually beneficial relationship that had made galactic civilization prosperous for thousands of years. Following Corvani tradition, Elder Tomrek had requested a 6-month deliberation period. Important decisions could not be rushed. The proposal needed to be studied by the Engineering Council, the Cultural Compatibility Committee, and the Ancestral Wisdom Keepers. Every aspect had to be considered to ensure the agreement honored Corvani values and traditions. Minute Park from Apex Mining had smiled politely and agreed to wait. Of course, Elder Tomrek. We respect your careful approach to business. Take all the time you need. That had been the moment when everything went wrong, though the Corvani did not realize it at the time. While the Corvani councils deliberated in their traditional careful manner, the humans began what they called market preparation activities. Tomrek later learned that this was human language for a systematic destruction campaign designed to look completely legal. Tai O from Terra Extraction quietly approached the Corvani's mineral suppliers on 17 different worlds. He offered them contracts that were 30% more profitable than their current arrangements with the Corvani. The suppliers, most of them small independent operations, could not resist such generous offers. Jun Lee from Stellar Mining established competing extraction operations on asteroids and dead worlds that the Corvani had never considered worth developing. Using advanced human technology, he made these marginal sites profitable while flooding local markets with cheap minerals. Bo Kim from Apex Industries implemented what humans called predatory pricing strategies. He sold minerals at prices so low that Corvani operations became economically impossible to maintain. When concerned Zenthari trade officials asked how this could be profitable, Bo had smiled and said, "Long-term strategic planning." The most devastating blow came when Hannah Minute approached the Corvani's biggest customers with offers to replace their entire supply chain with human-managed operations. Her proposals promised faster delivery, lower prices, and more reliable service than the Corvani could match. Within 4 months, the Corvani Corporation found itself with no suppliers, no customers, and no viable way to continue operations. Their mining fleet, which had operated profitably for 3 centuries, was suddenly worthless. Elder Tom Reck finally understood what had happened when Sam Yoon from Predator Industries contacted him with an acquisition offer. Sam's human smile was as wide and friendly as ever as he explained the situation. "Nothing personal, Elder Tom Reck. Just business. We are prepared to purchase your remaining assets at fair market value. Your people can continue working in the mining industry as employees of Predator Industries. Everyone benefits." Fair market value turned out to be 15% of what the Corvani operations had been worth 6 months earlier. The humans had systematically destroyed the value of Corvani assets, then offered to buy the wreckage at the price they had created. But why? Tom Reck asked, his voice filled with genuine confusion. "We offered partnership. We could have worked together." Sam's expression showed what humans called sympathy, but his eyes remained cold and calculating. "Elder, you took 6 months to make a simple business decision. In that same time, we established market dominance across 12 star systems. Speed matters in modern commerce. Adaptation matters. Evolution matters." The word evolution made Tom Reck's herbivorous instincts twitch with ancient fear. He was beginning to understand that the humans were not just different, they were fundamentally alien in ways that made peaceful coexistence impossible. News of the Corvani collapse spread through galactic civilization like wildfire. The Zenthari Trade Council called emergency sessions. The peaceful Oxen Federation began developing what they called defensive economic policies. The insectoid HFY started building protective barriers around their most important trade routes. Species that had never experienced economic warfare suddenly found themselves studying human business practices with the desperate intensity of prey animals learning to recognize predator behavior. Terms like hostile takeover, market penetration, and competitive elimination entered galactic languages for the first time. Meanwhile, human corporations continued their expansion with relentless efficiency. Companies led by executives like Neo Park, Joy Ryu, and Kai Song established dominant positions in industry after industry. They moved through galactic markets like persistence hunters, systematically identifying weaknesses and exploiting them with surgical precision. The most terrifying aspect was that everything the humans did was completely legal according to galactic trade law. Laws written by herbivorous species had never anticipated predators who could turn hunting instincts into business strategies. Elder Tom Reck signed the acquisition papers with a trembling hand, officially ending 3 centuries of Corvani independence. As Sam Yoon collected the documents, his smile never faltered. "Welcome to the modern galactic economy," the human said cheerfully. "I think you will find human management very educational." The age of prey species commerce was ending. The apex predators had arrived, and they were very, very hungry. The emergency meeting of the Galactic Trade Consortium took place in the safest location known to galactic civilization, the neutral space above Kepler Station, surrounded by defensive shields and monitored by 43 different species. Fleet Admiral Zorven of the Oxen Coalition had never seen such fear in a gathering of galactic leaders. "We need to understand what we are dealing with," Zorven announced to the assembled delegates. Representatives from every major trading civilization sat in their species-specific atmosphere pods, but all attention focused on the central display showing human corporate expansion across known space. Dr. Keela Vorth, the consortium's leading expert on alien behavior, had spent 3 months studying human activities. Her findings had disturbed her so deeply that she had requested additional security clearances just to present her research. "The humans are not operating like any species we have encountered in galactic history," Dr. Vorth began, activating holographic displays that filled the chamber. "Every other civilization we have contacted evolved from herbivorous creatures. We developed cooperation, consensus building, and mutual benefit as our primary social strategies." The evolutionary charts showed the development patterns of dozens of galactic species. Zenthari, Corvani, Oxen, Vegan Collective, HFY, all had ancestors that had eaten plants, avoided conflict, and survived through group cooperation. The humans are different, Dr. Vorth continued, her voice growing quiet with concern. They evolved from persistence hunters. Apex predators who spent millions of years developing strategies to track, corner, and capture their prey. Ambassador Neltar of the Peaceful Vegan Collective spoke for many when he whispered, apex predators with faster-than-light travel and corporate lawyers. The chamber fell silent as the implications became clear. For thousands of years, galactic civilization had been built by species who naturally understood cooperation. Trade had developed as an extension of their herbivorous instincts, sharing resources, avoiding conflict, creating mutual benefit for all participants. The humans operated from completely different programming. Observe their corporate structure, Dr. Vorth said, displaying intercepted human communications. They organize their companies like predator packs. Information flows up to pack leaders who make hunting decisions. Individual humans sacrifice personal benefit for the success of their corporate pack. They coordinate attacks on target markets with the precision of wolves bringing down prey. Director Yen Kaw from Earth's Colonial Trade Division had been invited to address the consortium. The diplomatic invitation now felt like asking a shark to explain its feeding habits to a school of fish. She stood at the podium with the relaxed confidence that had made every herbivorous species in the galaxy deeply uncomfortable. You seem concerned about our business practices, Yen observed, her predator smile never changing. Perhaps we should clarify our position in the galactic economy. Vice Director Lane Pak activated displays showing human corporate expansion. The numbers were staggering. In 8 months, companies led by executives like Kai Song, Joy Ryu, and Neo Park had established control over industries that other species had taken centuries to develop. We are not trying to destroy galactic commerce, Chief Negotiator Sun Li explained with terrifying reasonableness. We are optimizing it. Eliminating inefficiencies. Maximizing profits. Creating sustainable competitive advantages. The translator system struggled with human business terminology. Words like leveraging market position, strategic resource acquisition, and competitive elimination had no equivalent concepts in languages developed by prey species. Trade Minister Veldar of the Zenthari stood to address the human delegation. Your optimization destroyed the Corvani Corporation in 4 months. 3 centuries of sustainable mining operations eliminated by what you call market forces. The Corvani were operating with 40% efficiency losses and outdated distribution models, Yen replied calmly. Market evolution eliminated an inefficient competitor. The mining operations continue under human management with improved productivity. You call it market evolution, Dr. Vorth interrupted, her scientific objectivity finally breaking. We call it predation. You are apex predators who have weaponized your hunting instincts for economic warfare. The human delegation exchanged glances, the subtle pack communication that had terrified alien observers for months. When they turned back to the assembly, their smiles seemed sharper, more dangerous. Dr. Vorth raises an interesting point, Yen acknowledged. Our species did evolve as hunters. We spent millions of years learning to identify weaknesses, coordinate group attacks, and pursue targets until they could no longer run. These skills translate remarkably well to modern commerce. Manager Gil Park stepped forward with additional displays. Consider the advantages. Human corporations have eliminated corruption in 12-star systems simply by making it unprofitable. We have increased economic efficiency by 30% across established trade routes. Piracy has virtually disappeared in sectors under human corporate protection. Because you are more dangerous than the pirates, Ambassador Neltar whispered. Exactly, Gil agreed cheerfully. We provide stability through superior predation. The revelation hit the assembly like a physical blow. The humans were not trying to join galactic civilization, they were transforming it into something that matched their predatory nature. Every human smile was a hunter showing teeth. Every business proposal was a pack selecting prey. Every corporate merger was a coordinated kill. Admiral Zorven studied the defensive options available to herbivorous civilizations. Economic sanctions would be useless against species who viewed trade restrictions as hunting challenges. Military intervention was impossible against humans who had already infiltrated every major supply chain. What do you want from us? He asked simply. Profitable partnerships, Yen replied with predatory honesty. Efficient markets. Sustainable growth. And recognition that the galactic economy now operates according to natural selection principles. The age of cooperation was ending. The age of predation had begun. And the apex predators were already writing the new rules. 2 years after first contact, President Maya Cho of the Terran Trade Federation stood before the rebuilt Galactic Commerce Council. The chamber had been redesigned with emergency evacuation systems, protective barriers, and security protocols that would have been unthinkable during the peaceful era of herbivorous trade dominance. Maya surveyed the assembled alien representatives with the calm satisfaction of an apex predator who had successfully claimed new territory. Her executive team flanked her with characteristic human confidence: Deputy Director Han Beck, Chief Strategist Jay Shin, and Operations Manager Yo Jin. Each human wore the same predatory smile that had become so familiar to galactic civilization. The adjustment period is complete, Maya announced to the nervous assembly. The galactic economy has successfully adapted to modern competitive principles. The transformation had been remarkable to observe. Some species had learned to work with their new apex predators. The insectoid Thexhi, with their hive mind organization, had discovered that their collective decision-making could complement human hunting strategies. Director Ray Kim from Terra Industries had established joint ventures with Thexhi collectives that now dominated 3 entire star systems. Our partnership with the Thexhi demonstrates the benefits of evolutionary cooperation, Manager Gil Park explained, displaying profit charts that made even the humans look impressed. Their ability to process information collectively combined with our strategic hunting instincts has created unprecedented market efficiency. Other species had made different choices. The surviving Corvani now operated small, specialized mining operations under what senior partner Leo Yo diplomatically called market preservation zones. These were essentially reservations where traditional alien business practices could continue without human interference, as long as they remained small enough not to threaten human market dominance. We believe in biodiversity, Leo explained with genuine sincerity. The galaxy benefits from maintaining traditional trading methods in appropriate ecological niches. The Zenthri had chosen a middle path. Trade Minister Veldar had negotiated agreements that allowed human corporations to optimize Zenthri agricultural distribution while maintaining Zenthri cultural control over food production. It was a careful balance that required constant negotiation, but it had prevented the complete economic conquest that had befallen the Corvani. The Zenthri demonstrate that adaptation is possible, Chief Financial Officer Su Kim observed. Species that recognize new ecological realities can find profitable positions in the modern economy. The most significant change was humanity's role as the unofficial enforcement arm of galactic trade law. When the Zoraki cartel had attempted to manipulate grain supplies in the Outer Rim territories, Commander Dal Park and her Corporate Security Division had resolved the situation with characteristic human efficiency. The Zoraki learned an important lesson about market manipulation, Dal reported with professional satisfaction. They now operate legitimate distribution networks and have discovered that honest profit is more sustainable than criminal enterprise. What she did not mention was how the lesson had been taught. The humans had systematically dismantled the Zoraki operation using techniques that made their destruction of the Corvani Corporation look gentle by comparison. Within 6 weeks, the criminal cartel had been completely eliminated and replaced by human-supervised legitimate businesses. Corruption has virtually disappeared in sectors under human corporate management, Trade Director J.O. added, filing his quarterly reports. Criminal organizations have discovered that human corporations are more efficient at resource extraction than illegal enterprises. The herbivorous species had learned not to ask for details about human enforcement methods. They simply accepted that piracy, smuggling, and trade corruption had become unprofitable in human-controlled space. President Maya concluded her presentation by displaying the galaxy's economic statistics. Growth was at historic highs. Trade efficiency had improved by 40%. Resource distribution had become more reliable than ever before in galactic history. Any questions? Maya asked the assembly. The chamber remained silent. The herbivorous representatives had learned that questioning apex predators could trigger hunting responses they were not equipped to handle. It was safer to accept the new order and find their appropriate place in the human-dominated ecosystem. Elder Tom Reck of the surviving Corvani spoke for many when he addressed the human delegation with careful respect. Your species has brought stability to galactic commerce. We are grateful for the opportunities to continue our traditional mining practices in the designated preservation zones. Diversity strengthens the ecosystem, Maya replied with what appeared to be genuine warmth. The galaxy benefits when every species operates at their optimal efficiency level. As the session concluded, Trade Director J.O. filed humanity's latest expansion proposals. 17 new sectors targeted for development. 43 potential markets identified for optimization. unlimited growth opportunities across previously unexplored regions of space. The assembled alien representatives filed out of the chamber quietly, each species returning to their designated roles in the new galactic economy. The Thexhi would continue their successful partnerships with human corporations. The Zenthri would maintain their agricultural operations under human optimization. The Corvani would preserve their traditional mining methods in their protected zones. And the humans would continue expanding, hunting, and optimizing with the relentless efficiency that had made them the dominant predators of Earth's ecosystem millions of years ago. Outside the chamber windows, human corporate vessels moved through space carrying executives like Manager Bo Kim, Director Hannah Minute, and Vice President Tai O to new markets, new opportunities, and new prey. Their ships bore the logos of Apex Industries, Predator Dynamics, and Terra Enterprises, names that had become synonymous with economic inevitability. The galaxy's sheep had invited wolves to dinner, and now the wolves were setting the menu for every meal. The age of cooperation was over. The age of optimal predation had begun. And the humans were very, very good at being apex predators. The new equilibrium was complete, sustainable, and absolutely terrifying for anyone who remembered what galactic civilization had been like before the humans arrived with their business suits and predatory smiles.